All right. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. All right. I'm Kingsley. I've been, I guess, a wholesaler or just an investor for about maybe 6 to 8 months. I started probably this year in February. And so I kind of just went all in. And so I'll tell you about my story and I'll go on with the introduction. All right. So, there's me, one of my mom's favorite pictures. I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm still there, still in the same home that I grew up in. And last year I graduated from Boston University with a business degree and a focus in real estate. But that degree is it's pretty useless. Like I learned more I mean, that's just the honest truth. You know, it was cool for the parties and the fun and whatnot, but as far as the actual learning, I can probably learn more from just speaking to John or speaking to a lot of people here and just or even just scrolling on Instagram. I learned way more than I ever did in any of those courses. I don't know. I was taking calculus something. I don't remember anything. Alpha something. Blah blah blah. I don't know. But I spent a lot of time, energy, and effort in that. It's crazy how much you can just learn from speaking to folks and social media and books too. The next thing there's commercial real estate. So right when I graduated in May, I graduated in the middle of the pandemic, so I still didn't have a real graduation. Kind of sad. Not so sad for me, sad for my mom, who worked so hard and sacrificed, but we're having something in October, I think. So that's going to be exciting. But I got a job at this company called Colliers, and it's a commercial real estate company, and I help lease office space and industrial space. But I'm excited to be able to share today that I don't know how this happened, but today literally is my last day on that job. So I'm done. I've quit. So, which is crazy because, I think maybe, I don't want to. I mean, first of all, I'm definitely not rich yet, or it's not like a get rich quick thing. But just a couple months ago, I was just like a lot of people here, just trying to learn and meet folks and understand the game. And I was like, all right, maybe one day, hopefully. I mean, I think I did. I definitely was writing it down and manifesting it, saying I want to quit my job this year. And a lot of people will wait and say a year or two or whatever. But I'm young. Like I always say, I have no rent, no mortgage, no expensive girlfriend, not yet, right? No, obviously. So, and I'm at home, so I'm like, why don't I take a risk? If I lose all this money, I go get another job in a year or two, right? So let me know if that sounds crazy to you guys, but it sounds normal to me. And so, what I do and what I want to do, so I kind of told you about what I do. What I want to do is I want to look for a bunch of undervalued deals and get rich, in real estate. That's pretty much it, So, and I say that pretty unapologetically, not in the sense of get rich so I can go and, buy a Lamborghini or a big house or whatnot and material things and whatnot. Those may or may not come, and I don't know, I'm not really focused on that, but really from the perspective of trying to do a lot more for my family, my current family. My parents have sacrificed a lot in trying to do, they're kind of in mind when I'm thinking about everything that I'm doing. And then my future family. I'm young, I'm 23, but I know I'm gonna have some little ones at some point, and I want them to have everything and whatnot. So things like that. And then at the same time, I want to do a lot for other people. I think that's something I can just never stay away from, just caring about folks. And that's always been something about me, and I doubt that'll ever change. And if I can do that to the highest level, whatever that looks like, I really hope to do so. As far as goals, so I think that salary, I was getting paid like $60,000 a year. So I made $45,000 from that. I made I'm not gonna spoil it. I guess for I'll show you some of the numbers on my my first two deals. But my goal this year is to make $200,000 in real estate, and next year $500,000. The year after that $750,000, and we'll see. So I don't know. Some people, I like to think big and try to ask how do you do that, and then and kind of skip trace those answers and go ahead and attack it forward. And so those are my goals. How am I going to do it? I'll figure it out along the way. Like John said, you don't have to know everything. You just set a goal and go chase it and go crazy. But it takes a lot of massive action, and hopefully I'll be able to do so. So I'll take you guys will be able to see a few pictures of my first. Let's go back up here. On my first deal, you might be able to see, but in that top left photo, you can see two buildings. I got a condo in each of those buildings, and so the way I found this deal was literally through cold calling. So it's kind of maybe an ancient art or whatnot, but it definitely works, and it's one of the cheaper options. It takes a lot of will, a lot of grit. It's not for the weak for sure. But that's how I got my first deal. Literally, buying a list of very specifically. I mean, this is a little like if anyone wants to know exactly how it is, I bought a vacant list on like this website called Prop Streams, and of every vacant home and condo, and then I put it into a dialer which like calls everyone has about like four callers going on at the same time, like four dial so three. Three or all right, three, so that you can I don't have to keep answering all the numbers. It kind of just goes automatically. So I would just sit there and literally just be playing my video games, and I have my headphones in, and it would go boop, and I would say hello, like this is Kingsley, and they say hello and hang up and on to the next one, and it would just go and go. Did it hundreds of times, and so somebody said, I said, hey, are you looking to sell your home? And they said, well, I think you should. And I said, whoa, like who? And he's like, hey, my husband, he's so stubborn, he never listens to me, blah, 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 blah. And I followed up, and then I was able to get these two condos under contract. This was probably before I got in this one, this is the fourth property I had gotten under contract. So the first three all just didn't work out, which was, they were all just bad deals. It was just me being a rookie, but my whole mentality is, man, shoot first, aim later. Just go in there and my mentality, like John said, hey, I'll give you a bad offer, you accept it, I go in and I find it's not it, I just go on and run, and but as each property I got under contract, I felt way more confident time and time after, and this last one, when I walked in, I was like, pretty sure I had one, and John was like, congrats, you got a deal. And I was like, I'll wait until I get into closing, because it's like the fourth time I had got someone under contract, and it ended up working out. So I went in, and the initial plan was to go ahead and to buy them. So I got both of them for $50,000 each, which is $100,000 total. So for any kind of property in Massachusetts in general, whether it's a house, a condo, whatever, $50,000 is it's almost as cheap as it gets, So that was great. I got them in Leominster, Massachusetts. I went ahead and I found this deal, and it had been vacant for about 12 to 15 years. This owner had just had these properties sitting. He had a lot of money. He was comfortable. He was approaching around 90 years old, and it was he was someone who was in and out of the hospital. And when I would call, if he wasn't picking up, it was the wife saying that, oh, he's at the hospital. And when I called him, he would be like, oh, coming back later, I'm heading to the hospital, I don't know. And he had a lot of health issues. And it almost got to the point where I was like, oh, man, part of me was like, oh, man, if you could just sign here before anything happens, God forbid, it seemed like that kind of situation. But he's doing well. I follow up with him now, and he's doing great. And so, that was, so I got him to sign, and that was great. And I needed it to close before, anything, I guess, could happen. And once it closed, I went ahead and I actually purchased them. So my intent is kind of go in and to find deals in either wholesale or to buy, but I was like, this would be a good, nice kind of first flip. And so the intent in the beginning was to buy them for $50,000 each. The one was a 1-bedroom unit. The second one was a 2-bedroom unit. And the first one would need around $50,000. Second one would need $25,000. And initially the ARV for both of these in like a sane market where I had the comps, so the comps were telling me, where the ARV was around 85 for one and 100. And so when everything was all done off these two flips, on my first deal, when you go ahead and you account for maybe my lack of experience and all the mistakes I would make and whatnot, I was expecting to make anywhere between maybe $30,000 or $40,000 on my first project. And I was like, woo, let's go. That'd be a great win. Plus, I get to learn. If I really, really mess up and don't know what I'm doing, I can maybe make 20, maybe 15. But hey, man, 15 for my first deal, and I got the experience of actually flipping from beginning to end. That would be a pretty good thing. And so that was kind of the first option. So the second I closed on them, I learned everything about the materials that I would need and whatnot, and I found my contractor, all these things. But John even had an idea, and he was like, hey, the market has gotten so hot, you might as well try to throw the one with maybe the least potential onto the market. You might be able to to maybe get that same profit, that $20,000 profit for that first one without even doing anything. And I was like, all right, let's see. So I put it up there for 75,000, and we got an offer like pretty quickly within like 2 days for that, and they made me the listing agent, so I'd make a little bit of commission on the back end too. All right, so I was like, okay, that was nice, that was easy, and then I was like suddenly just up $25,000. I was like, wow, like real estate, I was like, I should probably do more of this, and so. That was a great feeling. So then as I was waiting for it to close, and I was doing a final walkthrough with that buyer, because now that buyer is my client now, and I'm showing him we're doing like a final walkthrough, and he somehow I heard about the other unit that I had next door, and I walked him in, and he liked it, and on the way home I was on the phone, and I said, hey Leandro, would you like to make an offer on this? And he made an offer, and pretty much like the second pretty much what happened was, it was like my option B, which was to pass it to him and run far away, and that's what happened. And so you can see I bought both of them for 50, and put $0 into both rehabs, and I sold the first one for 75,000 and was able to have him sign and make me the exclusive listing agent. And then on the second one, bought for 50,000 as well. 0 rehab, and I sold that for 100,000. And so after everything and after all the fees and whatnot, long story short, in a way, I pretty much almost kind of wholesaled it to this buyer for a profit of around $70,000, which I was like, okay, man, the real estate's not a bad game to play, And so that closed over just a month and a half ago, and we actually listed the first condo. They finished it, and it came out pretty. It's nice and pretty cute. I don't know if I would have done a good job or this good of a job flipping and managing a project. And they actually were able to make the market has been so insanely hot. I thought this from the comps at the time, this would sell for maybe 85, 90,000, 95, and this just sold for like 150. So, or under agreement to close on Monday. We'll see. So hopefully it closes, and that'll be nice. But for just around there, which was nuts. And so the second one is supposed to do even more as a 2-bedroom. So we'll see how that goes. And so there's that. And so now, like, pretty much what I'm doing now is just really trying to focus and fine tune, I guess, that the art and the craft of and just the overall hustle of trying to find undervalued deals. So whether it's single family homes or condos or 2 families, 3 families. For right now, if you can develop that skill, there's always a bunch of money to make in real estate, whether it's wholesaling it, flipping it, keeping it as a rental or whatnot. But that's kind of the plan. So, I talked earlier about the 200K goal and the 500K goal and the 750. That's going to be just me trying to scale this business. And I just hired 2 virtual assistants to find me leads all day and whatnot. That's going to be a lot of money, but hopefully I make a lot of money from it. I don't know. Hopefully I'll keep you guys posted. Text me and we can make a group chat or something. But I'll be around to chat afterwards too. So those are the kind of things that I'm up to. And so then I guess the last slide that I made for this was so how did I do this, like and kind of almost in a maybe metaphorical way. How did I do this? Not the very specific step 1 I went to this website and this is. Because that stuff you can figure out, but really more on a practical level. How did I really do this? And the first thing I put up there was that I read books and I watched YouTube videos, and I got sick after some time. I got sick of learning, and I took massive action because it got to a point on YouTube. I would be watching these channels and watching my favorite little nerdy real estate channels, and every once in a while I would see on these channels they would bring on guests of like people who were just wholesaling their first deals or flipping the first deals over and over and over again. And then months later I would see those people come and say, hey man, I watched your show a month ago and I did it, and now I made $15,000. And I was like, oh snap, like now I'm here watching, like wait, I'm just watching people watch the videos and make this money, and I'm just here. I was like, all right, at this point, forget me like studying and actually trying to get the answer, for everything like I did in college. You may be able to. I'm kind of opinionated about college, right? But instead of just trying to study and figure out the answer like how I've been raised to my whole life, what about going into something and 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 committing. I was like, all right, forget me knowing how to do everything. Like, let me just go ahead and commit to getting a deal done, no matter what it took. And that was the mentality that I had, and I think that's a mentality that you can take to a lot of different parts of real estate, whether it's flipping, whether it's wholesaling, whether it's buying your first rental, whether it's buying, doing maybe your first syndication. I mean, unless you knew every single step, I doubt it. But you figured it out, and you knew the right people, and you were proactive. And I think that goes with all of those things. So like I think more important than I think you can study the things through books or through social media or through people or hear through friends, but if it's something that you think you actually want to do, like this is a pretty inexpensive, this I probably, as far as money out of my pocket, if I had found that buyer literally before I made that deal, I probably would have put out of pocket maybe like $500 to find that deal when it came to maybe the marketing and that list and whatnot, or maybe $500 to $1,000 somewhere. I can get the specifics later, but that's pretty much all I needed to do that first deal, which is actually pretty remarkable, and so like. And so going into that, I think it's really achievable for pretty much anyone. It does take a kind of a hustle, like if you're whether you're gonna cold call or maybe send out mailers or whatnot, to call people and follow up with people. It becomes like a sales process or a business development process for anyone in sales or has any experience in that. Another thing that helped me be able to do this was I was super excited to make mistakes. Like I'm big shoot first, aim later. Like that's me right now. And so I went in after seeing all the testimonials and studying and reading all the books that I could about this. It became very, very clear to me that you go in, you're kind of almost supposed to make mistakes. You're not supposed to know everything. Like I know a whole bunch of things now and have a bunch of relationships with people now that I would have never even imagined. Or that I would never really imagine I thought I would need or would even get to, but after committing to something and taking a bunch of action, I was able to get there. So I was excited to make mistakes. I was excited to go in and put things under contract, even if it wasn't a good deal, because I knew I would learn and I would understand why it wasn't a good deal. I set that goal. I was like, hey man, I'm gonna try to quit my job this year. Like go ahead and do that. And I put that as a goal, and I committed to that, and committed to finding a deal and to fixing and flipping or finding my first deals, and I just went ahead and did that. And so now it's all about setting new goals and committing, and then figuring it out along the way. So for anyone who's kind of on the fence on anything, whether it's being an agent or buying your first property or flipping your first home or becoming a wholesaler, whatever it is, if you think you have, especially if you have maybe the time, the energy, the resources right now, and you're interested in doing those things, I say go ahead and attack it in full. Another bullet I would put there is action, 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 and then more action, right? So big on action and not so much on the studying or knowing things beforehand. Like in school, you give all the kudos to the people who can study and know. Like now, you give the kudos to the people who aren't afraid or irrationally afraid of some of these things. And I was probably a little more fearful 6 months ago or 6 or 8 months ago, but now like after this, man, I'm ready to run through a brick wall to go get to achieve those goals I got. And I know it's gonna be a bunch of ups and downs, a whole bunch of things I don't know, but I'm determined. If you look at me in my eyes, I'm gonna go get it. So like that's something about me. And then I would think the most important bullet, and I've said it a few times now, but I realized that nobody truly has it all figured out before starting. But successful people don't worry about that. They don't. And I saw that quote all over social media and all over in the books that I would read. I read like a book, or I listen to a book a week. That's kind of my goal this year. I'm on pace to do that. And there's some of the best books. That's where I would see. And then you saw me speak about it. You saw John speak about it too. So if there was one thing, I would have you guys just, I guess, understand, or if someone's on the fence about doing something new, it's that you just don't have to have it all figured out, and that you should go ahead and commit. And once you do that and you commit, you're in a long haul. Like with me, with the wholesaling and flipping, my whole perspective was, even after a couple of months, I probably started in like February, but and I got this deal in like June. But after a couple of months of just running around and not getting anything and backing out of contracts and driving to Blandford, Massachusetts. You guys, I don't know if you guys have heard of that town. Right? You know, I was driving back and forth. I don't even, is it Barre, Massachusetts, BAR, whatever. Driving back and forth, driving to Leominster from Boston. I'd committed though. And over those months, I told myself, like, you know, even if this wholesaling or this flipping thing, you know, even if it's not for me, or this real estate thing isn't for me, I already committed to getting one deal done no matter what, and I know it works. So let me go ahead and do it. So once you kind of had that mentality of committing and really doing it, I think it can take you a long way, and that's what I got. Thank you.